Welcome to the Cherry Picker After Dark, the Patreon exclusive podcast episode that we do every month over here. My name is Zach Cherry. I'm your host, and with me as always, if he can pull himself together.
Harmony, when you tried to be head cheerleader, you were bad. When you tried to chair the homecoming committee, you were really bad. But when you try to be bad, you suck. Eddie of Edward is Truth.
And in this episode, we are going over Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 5. Yeah. We've already done Seasons 1 through 4, so, slowly making our way through the series. And if you are watching this as a preview on YouTube, just know that you can get access to the full episode by becoming a Patreon supporter of mine at the Freddy Krueger tier. You'll get access to all of our Cherry Picker After Dark episodes, including the Buffy ones. But having said that, Eddie is Truth. Where do you stand with Buffy season 5? Before we just jump into our episode ranking.
I like it. How about you?
I really do. It's the thing with this season that kind of it. What I like about it is that it reminds me a lot of Twin Peaks. I don't know why this season specifically, it's very soap opera-y. Yeah. But it's very bizarre too. And there's not really this is going to be a hard ranking to do because normally we do this and I feel like every episode is not that it's self-contained, but it kind of has a thumbprint that makes it very distinct and you remember that episode. And there are episodes in this season that are like that, but I feel that with this season I don't really so much remember the episodes as I remember the character or story arcs, which kind of fall across many episodes. So I'm just full disclaimer, this is going to be very difficult for me to rank. So at the end of the ranking, don't take things too harshly because I don't know. I could be wrong. It just in terms of that. So
and you do it in real time.
Yes,
you don't pre-rank these. Yeah.
I mean, I had a thing going, but I we'll see. Because even going through the episodes, I'm just I have no idea. I know which ones are my favorite and which ones are my least favorite, but there's just a whole bunch of them in the middle that just it's a lot of them don't necessarily feel the same, but it's just I can't pinpoint specific things we did in seasons 1 through 4.
I had that for a few periods in this season also where I would notice very, very high, and then for a while, we're not exactly treading water, but this is more middling as far as ranking is concerned. I can pay attention to the arching, whichever is correct, what the work that the writers are doing and everything like that, which more about that as we dive in. But there were some very, very high highs, and then for a while I'd just be kind of wow, I don't remember waiting this long for something else bombastic or, terribly, terribly important to happen again. But we'll get there.
Yeah, I think that the thing with Buffy, especially moving into, after the first season, is that it got to a point where every episode has gold in it. But there's just, even the worst episodes... And I don't think any episode in this is awful, terrible. But every episode, even the ones that, you say are middling or just treading water, there's still so much to mine from everything and just enjoy. And I think that that's what makes the later seasons or anything really after season 1 so much stronger because it's just everything's been established. We know these characters so well at this point
right.
that it's even the storylines that are kind of feel reductive or just antiquated by Buffy season 5 standards. It's still this is so much better than for instance going back to season 1, the Willow robot, the demon, that whole
or even just the monster of the week structure. When there's more attention paid to where have we come from and where are we
Yeah.
going, and how much of what we've learned about the characters thus far informs our enjoyment of like what it is we're watching.
Absolutely. But the thing is, they still do the monster of the week thing, but it's so much more focused now that it's because it's
Yeah.
like before it was just based on whatever the plot was. Whereas now there's these characters that are just so like richly textured that it becomes fully about them rather than like the silly, ridiculous thing that pops up or whatever the threat is. So anyway, as you usually do, you've made up names for the ranking tiers. Did you want to
Yeah.
explain them for everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we always do quotes from the season throughout. I try to make them as varied as possible as far as the sources, the people that say them on the episode.
Yeah.
It's always fun to start at the top and move downward. So, the top tier is simply magic, which is what Willow says at the end of Family when Tara asks her, "How do you do that?" We'll get there. Okay.
Keep it together.
The second tier. I'm going to be like that from time to time. Get ready.
know, yeah.
Strap in, folks. But the second tier, just below that, because magic is obviously chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Second tier is like lollipops at the circus, said by Drusilla in Crush. Because, lollipops at the circus, great. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Not quite magic, but, good. Tier just below that, I'm unthreatened. Proceed. Quote from Anya, of course, from Forever. Meaning, like, keep it going, sure. Yeah. Okay. Middling. Literally mid. It's the third tier. Fourth tier below that is a quote from Buffy in Buffy versus Dracula, where she says, "You know what I feel? Bored." Which is just the fourth tier. It doesn't necessarily mean we felt bored while we were watching it, but sometimes even the quotes can help guide a little bit. And the bottom tier is probably my favorite. It's a quote from Dawn in Blood Ties, but she says it in the future as well, outside of this season. But it's the first time Dawn ever says, "Get out, get out, get out!" Which is basically, bottom of the barrel, like, just leave.
Yeah.
You have no power here. You have no place here.
Absolutely.
Excuse yourself,
Yeah.
sir.
All right. Perfect. And just for anyone new, or if you are watching the preview, is that we don't rank this together. We don't come to a consensus. We
No.
tried that in season 1 and it just did not work because I have really great perceptions of things and Eddie not so much. So
Oh my god. No, the thing is, Zach gets incredibly contentious, which I understand because these things make us passionate. There's some things that we care very, very much about. And also, I have to say, particularly with this season, I put up a few polls, which I'm going to share as we move through. These Buffy, especially as it moves on, becomes a polarizing fandom. Like, there are people, we can all be in the same room declaring our fandom of Buffy, but the things we love most about it and the critiques that we have can be all over the map, and they can be as varied as like night and day and everything in between. So
it's no different.
So that's why.
Yeah, it's no different than the Scream franchise. But anyway, just since we are doing our separate rankings, as you can see on the screen, you can't see this right now, Edward, but for everyone watching or listening, we'll have two separate ones. So, we'll have Edward's magic to get out, and then my magic to get out. And we're going to go through all 22 episodes. So we're going to start right now with Buffy versus Dracula. And do you want to lead?
Okay. First off, I have to say this one, I definitely come from a very personal place. I have walked a handful of people through this series, and one of the times that I was walking a then good friend through the series, we had reached a stalemate after season 4, and we hadn't returned, and I had invited somebody in my life, and it did not go well. and I hadn't seen Buffy in a long time, and this friend who I had turned on to Buffy was like, "Can we watch Buffy again? I need it." And I'm like, "Yeah." So we started season 5. We watched this episode, and just to see someone, under a thrall, and to see someone fight, even just watching her punch and kick and all that, I was living. It just kind of freed me. I was like, wow, I've forgotten how to defend myself with this toxic person in my life. But like just watching Buffy resist and say, you know what, I feel bored and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it was so good. So that was the most impactful I think the episode has ever been on me. But this time, I actually, it's kind of got that monster of a week thing because it's Dracula.
Yeah.
But because it ties so neatly to the end of season 4, what with even the quote that he pulls about like, you think you know who you are, what's to come, you haven't even begun.
Yeah.
That ropes me right in. I think it's a really, really strong episode. I think it's a really, really memorable episode. How about you?
This is one that I was never really a huge fan of. Like, I kind of like what you said. It's the monster of the week thing.
Sure.
It also feels like Dracula. Like Dracula, in and of himself, is like just has so much mythology based around him. Just like
Sure.
outside of Buffy, that it's sort of like having the two things like come together. Has always felt very odd to me. I do like the way that it's handled, of just like her just being like, "Get out," which is cute. You know what?
It's cute,
like,
yeah.
most of the season openers I haven't loved. Like, they're just kind of okay episodes. It's there's a lot to do to like set up certain seasons, and I think like still at this point, Anne from season 3 is my favorite opener. Like that episode is just amazing. But with this, there's certain things that I like. Like, I just like seeing them all at the beach, and then Willow accidentally starting the storm. Although it's not clear if it was her or Dracula.
It was Dracula. Yeah.
Well, we don't know, because Willow's becoming so powerful.
I believe her.
I don't know. There's some murky waters there, but
yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's a lot to enjoy here. I still think that, like, I was surprised going through this because this is not how I perceived it initially. Like, I think this probably falls somewhere in the middle for me in this season, maybe like below middle. But it's nowhere near the worst. Like, it's an episode that I still enjoy, and I think that what really ties it together is that it comes back to the theme of what does it mean to be a Slayer, and this kind of like sets Buffy off on her journey in the season of just kind of like, is the Slayer a killer, or is there so much more to it? And that's why I kind of love like that, when she's under that thrall of Dracula, and then like the whole blood ritual of it all, and then like finding her power again, and then like really focusing her energy. And I love where it takes her, and just sort of like the things that it keeps touching upon as it relates back to like what we discover in this episode with her. And then of course we get the revelation of mom, or
right
at the very end. So I mean, I like this episode. I'm unthreatened. Proceed is what I
say. Okay, well, I would put it higher just because I mean, I know this is probably a sore point with you because it's about Xander, but like everything from him jealously kind of like proclaiming like his stance about like Anya's neck cleavage, to his position as Renfield, the fact that he even answers when Dracula talks to him, is like, yes, master. No, I don't know. I thought it was funny. I looked forward to seeing it again. The fact that Buffy lets Drac do his thing and bite her and everything, and the fact that Riley, I wanted to punch him so bad after he made that comment about like Angel and transference, and I'm like, you do not get to pretend to have insight to her. I mean, I was just so engrossed in it, and the fact that it ends with her being able to come back and be quippy Buffy with like, he's like, what is this? She's like, my true nature. Want a taste? And then before she dusts him, how do you like my darkness now? I'm just like, I don't know, little fireworks going on in my heart. And then, of course, Xander being free and talking about his funny syphilis and not being the butt monkey anymore. and the fact that she defeats Dracula, but then he like dissipates into that mist and then starts to come back. And she gets him again. You always come back. And then he starts to go away and then starts to reform. It's like, I'm right here. I mean, I don't know. All the beats comedically, like it's
standing
like,
right here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's great drama for me at the end before the dawn moment when Buffy sits down with Giles, who's been planning to go back to England because he feels kind of obsolete, and she says the line that always breaks my heart when she says, "You haven't been my watcher for a while." But then she starts talking about the source of her power, again tying it back to the end of the last season, and about how Dracula understood her power better than she did and saw darkness in it and everything like that. And she wants to learn, and I don't know, all of that. Plus, aesthetically, there was so much synchronicity. Like we talked about the look of season 4 before, with a lot of bright colors and pastels and that kind of thing. With this one, it opened with a lot of burgundy and lavender that a lot of characters seem to be sharing. I still don't know what that's
you and your
about,
colors.
but I don't know. I noticed it. Yeah, I always notice my colors if they're there to be noticed. So
your burnt siennas and
my
and
burnt
your cayennes.
So I would put this. I don't think it's quite magic, but I'd put it definitely in like Lollipops at the Circus. I have that much of a good time with it.
All right. I'm glad to hear that. You also you had some strong criticisms for Riley. Does that mean that you're not championing him anymore?
Honestly, when the episode started, because it's been a minute since we saw season 4, I completely forgot that Buffy was with him.
Yeah.
So when he's there, I'm just kind of like, oh right, you're still in this show.
Yeah.
So
we'll get through him because there's a lot to fucking.
Yeah, there is a lot to unpack.
You know what? There's not even that much with him, but I mean, it's
There's details. Let's just put it that way. There's
a
progression or a theme, a recurring theme.
Yeah.